is going to help people along that journey. So so it's pretty nice.
You hear that going off in the background?
I don't know what that is.
It's this.
Hey!
What we have for you is Mr. Shay Watson, fresh off the back of his recent viral hit, Mystery Team. More on that later. Let's get into the interview. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. Sorry, I got distracted by that.
That's all right.
No, that's really great because rising tide raises all ships kind of thing, isn't it? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've done a few radio things because that single did so well. And so I'm getting quite used to it. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable, mate.
Yeah,
honestly.
I love that. I love that track.
I cannot believe it. I was just mucking about. I was literally just mucking about in my kitchen, just thinking, this will be something for myself to listen to in a bit. But it just kicked off, and it's at 70. Well, across social media, it's over 100,000 views, and
no way, is it?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Wow.
One video on Facebook's got 75,000. There's another one with 5,000. Twitter's got 10,000. It's unreal. I've just hit some kind of zeitgeist kind of. Because it's homemade in the kitchen, so I think that hit people's sort of lockdown sensibilities, and it's quite an upbeat song, so I think that cheered people up a bit. And,
definitely. I mean, it brings people out of the woodwork, doesn't it, when you strike a chord with them as well? Because I think a lot of people kind of silently support from the sidelines.
Very much, yeah.
And it's good when you get something that brings out even those people. You know you've touched on something.
Exactly. I mean, as an actor, I was always like, well, I just want a reaction, whether it's an extremely good or an extremely bad reaction. That's great. It's the no reaction that is the most hurtful. It's just and I've got that with a lot of music I've put out before. It's nice to have something people go, wow, grab onto it. I've had people sort of say, what can I do? Can I help you out with marketing and this and that? And so I've had a little team behind me doing social media for a bit and stuff, and it's insane. It's insane. Going viral don't make you any money though, unfortunately.
I guess the trick is you've got to keep on with it, haven't you? You've got to keep on going viral. Kind of.
That's the idea.
Reverse engineer it and think what happened there. I mean, you've touched upon it already with kind of getting into that lockdown sensibility, made from home, and I guess that was the kind of the genesis for your follow-up track with The Sweet Spot. Is that kind of why you went about that?
It is, yeah. I thought I'd try and sort of take it up a level and keep that sort of me playing all the different band members, but have it all in one shot. And then I thought, well, I can't just do the band again. So then I had that idea for, I don't know if you've seen the video, but for cutting out the faces of the famous albums and doing that all. So that was a lot of fun, technically quite a challenge. I've got the green screen up in the kitchen for that. Just to put myself back in the kitchen, I used a green screen. I'm hardly Lucasfilm over here. So it's all done on the iPad through iMovie, GarageBand. I'm not really a very good technical person at all. So I'm learning my way through EQs and reverbs and compressions and all this techie stuff I've got no idea on, but just playing around to it sounds nice, you know.
Lovely.
And video editing wise, exactly the same. I've done a bit of green screen photography before for a job, and hang on, let me get rid of this dog 1 minute. Sorry,
no problem.
Come on, there you go. Come on. It's no food. Come on.
Bless him.
Typical, isn't it? He'll sit there quietly every other day, but the 1 minute it's he's talking to someone. I think I'll get in on this.
I want attention.
Exactly, that's what it is. Yeah.
So that's a Dachshund, right?
He's an actor's dog. Yeah, he's a white-haired Dachshund. He's a scruffy sausage dog.
Right. Yeah. My mum's got some miniature Dachshunds. So oh my gosh, I fell in love with those. They're just such lovely dogs, aren't they? The Dachshunds, that.
They're so comedy as well. They're little little Napoleon kind of trot they've got. But he's quite big actually. He's a standard, and his dad was American, so obviously they do everything bigger anyway. So everyone's always like, my God, the size of that sausage dog, and he's got a bark on him as well.
Yeah.
I called him Barkley, and he's ended up having a really big bark. I should have called him Whispers. I'd have been all right. Always think ahead.
Always think ahead. I mean, I always thought to call call my first dog like Cat or something, you know, just to like mess with people. But then they're just so like, when my mum got those dogs, I absolutely fell in love with them. And I was like, I get it now. I completely get why people get upset when they pass away, why you get so attached to them. It just all makes sense. Like, they've got so much time for you, don't they? Like, you give them love, they give you so much back.
He's changed my life. Like, I hardly go out now because I don't want to leave him. Like, I just want to hang out with my mate. Lockdown has been all right. I'll tell you what, when I go back out into the world, he's going to feel it, because he's had me around 24/7 this year. And so he's really going to feel put out, I think, when I eventually leave him alone in the house.
Yeah, they're very loyal dogs, aren't they, as well? So he'll be confused.
He don't like it when anyone leaves. Like, if mates come round, he's like, where you going? Where you going?
Nice. So look, let's get into this. You know, Shay, you're a singer, songwriter, front man for a band, solo artist, actor of the stage and the screen. So like, you know, you've what a varied life you've kind of led up to date in the creative industries. Like, where do you start with that? Like, why do you enjoy doing all of those things? Why not just acting? Why not just singer-songwriter? What's your drive?
That's an interesting question, really. Music's what got me into everything in the first place. When I was at school, I was kind of... I was lost as a kid. Like, I had family issues, and I was brought up by my nan and granddad. And so I was quite lost from the age of 4 years old. And when I was about 14, 15... I started getting into music, and a few mates at my school really got me into like the underground post-punk grunge scene. This was like mid-90s, so we're talking off of Nirvana and the scene that they caused, and all the sort of bands that were coming up doing punky, grungy, indie, lo-fi stuff. And I started just going to a lot of gigs around Hastings and Tunbridge Wells, where I grew up. And then just wanted to do that. That is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get up on stage and be in a band. I mean, throughout my childhood, like, I used to sing along to Rockstar cassette tapes. I'm showing you age now. I remember starting a band. Do you remember Kid and Play, who did the movie House Party?
No, I do not.
Down very age. There's an old film called House Party, and Kid and Play were like two rappers. They were kind of around the same time the Fresh Prince came out.
Okay.
And so it was that kind of early rap, but really
like
family friendly.
Sister.
It wasn't gangster. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It was all just fun and colourful jumpers and big trainers and sneakers or something. Mm-hmm. But so I started a rap band with my friend, and we were called Step and Jam.
Strong name.
That's a good name, right?
Yeah.
That's about all we had. We didn't have any songs. We just had the name. And the
Step and Jam. I'm down for that. I'll buy those records.
I'm going to bring it back. But and then I moved on to sort of band stuff. So yeah, I got into the indie scene, and I started off playing the drums. I've said on a few other sort of radio interviews I've done that my granddad taught me how to play drums on some ice cream boxes and a biscuit tin lid nailed to a bit of wood.
No way.
And that was my drum. He just taught, because he was a jazz drummer back in the war, pre-war. And so he taught me how to do a bit of sort of jazz drumming, keep a beat and all of that. And I just started taking that. Well, because I was a bit of a wallflower, so I didn't want to be at the front of the stage. I couldn't play guitar or anything, because we couldn't.
No way. No way. You?
I was a wallflower. So I just wanted to be at the back, feeling the groove. Mm-hmm. But then I started doing I did a guest song with a friend's band where I came up, and it was almost like performance poetry, and I like that. Like being at the front.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like spoken word type stuff. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, yeah. There was music behind it, but I was doing this like weird sort of, I mean, you're young, you're college-aged, you're being all arty and farty, aren't you? So... and then I've just moved on, and then I lived with a guy who played guitar, and he had loads of guitars around and loads of Oasis books with like the chord charts. So I just taught myself guitar when I had spare time.
Wow.
And then that afforded me to be able to write some songs, which is what essentially I then came to realise is what I always was good at. And I think that's why I like acting as well, because it's words. Whether you're learning someone else's words and then putting feeling and emphasis into them and performing them, or writing your own, which is what I really prefer. And I've not had a go at writing a play or a script or
You've never tried?
Anything like that. Never tried yet. No,
you should do that. You should
do
give it a
enjoy
go.
songwriting. I know, because I do enjoy that process of creating from the start of it, because writing is number one, isn't it? So that's the bit I enjoy most about the songwriting. So yeah, you're right. Maybe I should try that. I've got ideas. Like in my notes folder on my phone, there is about 20 TV show ideas about zombies and all other kind of crazy stuff, because I'm a big sci-fi nerd.
Oh, same, big time. Big time.
I've got so many like film and TV ideas about apocalypses and time travel and like it's ridiculous. So every now and then I go through my phone and think, "Oh, that's quite good. That could be like a script or a theatre show, maybe, or a play or something." So maybe I will at some point try and do that. I mean, there's lots of things to tick off the creative box list, or tick off the creative list, tick the boxes of the creative list before the end of the life or career. But yeah, so I suppose writing a screenplay or something would be one of those boxes to tick, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, all you have to make sure is that you got the right format, the right formatting of the script. But prior to that, that's just a case of giving it to an editor and saying, make this look like an actual script.
I've actually got a friend who is a writer. She's done stuff for BBC. She's doing some Corrie now. She's writing some of the Corrie episodes.
Excellent.
She's really rising up the sort of ranks. They've done a lot of theatre, but now she's getting into sort of TV scripting stuff. So she'd be the person who I could absolutely tap up and say, help me get it to sort of an industry standard format. But I've got the idea. But it's a lot of practice of getting dialogue right, isn't it? And screenplays are very different to just writing a story. So
exactly.
Have you done it yourself?
Yeah, I've done a couple, and I've written a couple of songs actually for an artist, and I found that actually this is why I kind of recommend it to you, because I found the divide between the two wasn't actually too different.
Okay.
I can hear myself through your microphone, I think. Is there something?
Is it too hot?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
What? It's my bleep. Oh, hang on. Speak.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, God, yeah, you're coming right.
Nice.
Hang on.
Where were we at there? So, we were talking about the kind of the script and the transfer. So, yeah, I found that having written a few songs and then already written a few scripts, it was still storytelling. So it was just like storytelling, but in a different kind of form, It was like, for me, I get to songwriting through poetry. So I've written some poems and I get there through poetry. Do you know what I mean? So there's like the transfer is through there. Nice. So I don't think
exactly the same.
I don't think you would find it too kind of jarring, making that switch. If you've got ideas, that is, if you've got script ideas, I think
definitely have. Yeah, I think what I'd struggle with is like I'd say that like the dialogue. I'd be great at doing a monologue, but a dialogue, it's just finding the right style, isn't it? Because I find so often when I watch stuff, it's terrible. Like the dialogue, especially British things. Like I find them really bad for their writing sometimes. But then I'll watch. And that's the problem with TV now, because it's got to be really good. TV's kind of overtaking movies. Like I was watching Fargo, the new season last night.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like the direction, the style, the scripting, the seat. Like it's just almost Oscar level in every episode. And there's lots of other shows like that out there. And so when I watch British stuff, I find it really dull and a bit stagnant sometimes, because I don't think we've quite jumped onto that level of TV. There's a couple of things here and there. Like I caught up with Utopia, which is quite an old show, and they've just remade it in America, but that was quite good. It's the stylized, like quite often when I've worked in TV, I've come across directors from two different kind of breeding grounds. There's the old school guys from the 70s that did Minder, and they just do by the numbers. That's the only thing I can think of. The bill, all that.
Right.
And they do very much paint by numbers in their direction. Yes. And I'm sure writers are the same as well, having come from just doing soaps and TV dramas, procedurals, things like that. Whereas now you've also got your newer crowd who are more like your music video directors or your arty sort of indie film makers, and they're being a bit more interesting in their choices of how to put things together and string narratives together and write dialogue. I mean, look at Tarantino. When he came on the scene, he's doing a gangster film, and all of a sudden they're sat around talking about cheeseburgers, just like they're in regular life. And that was a revolution at the time, because people didn't talk like real life on movies. And he blended the two together. Kevin Smith did the same, where it's just seeing your own conversations with your mates on screen in these bizarre situations. And that's what I really sort of dug about that 90s movie indie explosion that happened with some of those guys. So I think that's what I'd want to sort of work on, is the stylistic approach to the writing of a script, to the dialogue. And my problem is that I'm not very good at, having been in bands and having now done this thing myself this year at home, I've realised I do work well on my own, and I do like having final say on every little sort of aspect. Did you get me?
So you've discovered a little bit of the control freak kind of thing inside yourself.
I think so. I didn't think I was like that. I mean, I am, don't get me wrong, when I collaborate, I'm a very open and easy person, but maybe that's because I stand back too much, and the end result isn't maybe always how I want it, but I'm like, well, it's collaboration. It's like the old saying, isn't it, about the camel being a horse designed by committee. And I often find that is the case, because when you're the ideas, when you're the person that has birthed the concept, when you get to the end result, if you haven't had autonomous control over it all, you're not going to end up with what was in your head originally.
Never.
And I've learned over the years just to be like, okay, so I'll get an original idea. I'll think what it will end up like, but let's see. And so I've worked with bands and other musicians and other actors in theatre and things like that. And it's got to a place where it's good, but it's not on earth what I imagined originally. And so now I'm in a position, having suddenly gone solo, that I'm finding that I am getting to, I've done the guitar, I've done the mics and everything, and the vocals. And so at the end, I can just, like, that's all me. I've done it all myself. And I'm very proud of it. But also it's my vision through to the end. And I am quite enjoying that, I must say. But I've got to learn to work well with others again once we get out of lockdown.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of funny, because in the one breath, it seems like you found a lot of confidence by being part of a group. You know, you've mentioned like being the wallflower and kind of learning from other people, and then finding your confidence by being this kind of front man, and then being forced into a situation where you've got to work solo, and then discovering that actually that's kind of a conclusion to what you were actually working towards kind of all along. And now you've got to adjust back again.
And even more than that, when I started on drums, that was at the back of the stage, hidden behind. Then I moved on to guitar, but still you've got that kind of thing to hide behind.
Yeah, it's a shield.
In between verses, when you're singing, you can look down and concentrate on the guitar. And then taking that away just to be a front man in a band was another one of those steps of sort of getting confidence and growing as a performer, because then you're just you on stage. And when everyone else is playing the instruments, you've got to kind of, the audience is looking at you to do something.
Yes.
And you just give it a bit of a groove or something.
Yeah.
And that certainly, and I think the theatre background helped with that, because then I knew how to give an audience with an audience. I find you get back what you give. And so as a front man in a band, a lot of people who might not have that theatre background might not realise how to sort of play around with the audience and get them going and G'd up. And you know, a lot of people have always commented on my with my last band, Princip, where I was just the front man. I didn't play an instrument. They always commented that the live shows were so much fun because the energy and the performance, and just if you look like you're having fun, everyone else is having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I
think I've got that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I couldn't help but notice it in your rehearsals for the track Mona Lisa with Princip. You're still giving it even though you're in the rehearsal room, you're still giving it the showman. You know, I think
absolutely. I've always wondered if other people do that.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't thought about that until I saw it.
I'd like to see another band rehearse to see what they do, because you're practicing, really, aren't you? And plus, I just want to get lost in my own fantasy of being a rock star a little bit. Yeah, and I'm just playing like I was when I was a kid, and I was playing it, being the Step and Jam or whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm still doing that. I'm still trying to live out the fantasy of that teenage kind of dream, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that's quite common between kind of rock stars and actors. A lot of actors want to be rock stars, a lot of rock stars want to be actors, and you do see that in a lot of people's crossover. Lady Gaga has done quite a bit of acting, hasn't she? I think maybe Taylor Swift, Jared Leto has done some in recent years. Keanu Reeves. There's quite a lot of people.
Sting.
Sting. It's the other one, Steve Martin as well. Steve Martin, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He does some great banjo albums, doesn't he?
Yeah, right.
Some incredible banjo stuff.
I think he's supposed to be in something like the top 5 banjo players in the world.
Yeah.
He's yeah. There's only 6.
It's a tough instrument. It is.
It's a toughie.
Again, though, I was watching Fargo, and there's I don't know if you know Andrew Bird. He's not that well known, but he'll turn up on a lot of Tiny Desk concerts online and things like that. And he's a good musician, and he turned up in Fargo. And I was watching it, I was going, that's a random one, because he's not like a superstar like Lady Gaga or anything, but he's just this kind of little musician that's there, but not many people know about him. And he's suddenly got this really good part in Fargo, and he's really good in it. And it's interesting to see how even people who aren't superstars can get to that sort of little bug to take a step into that world and bridge the gap.
Yeah, big time.
And I've always said I wanted to make it, as they say, as an actor, or get some renown so that I could just get my music in. That was always the plan. If I could get some following as an actor, then I'd get them to come and listen to my music and come to some gigs and things like that. So it was always that was the way around that I'd want to do it. Wow. Obviously, if I became a musician, I'd try and use that to get a bit of acting work, maybe.
Yes.
But I'm more and more, as I get older, I more love the music than the acting. Because I find a lot of times you get treated like, not in theatre so much, but you get treated more like a prop in acting than part of the creative. You're just part of the process. You stand there, do that, say that, and there's so much other things going on with the lighting and the sound and the props and the costume and the set and blah, blah, blah. But when you're doing a TV show or a film, you don't feel like the main part of it at all, I find. You feel like very much just one little cog in the machine.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't have much say.
Yeah, exactly.
And so doing music gives you a lot more control over what you're doing, really. A lot more options as well.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think I had a similar kind of perspective of that on kind of the perception of actors. I don't think is always a good one. I think I always preferred to kind of have multiple strings to my bow, as it were.
No, especially these days. I think you can't just be an actor now. You have to also write, or you have to have some other kind of string to your bow to get you in the door. Because I think just being an actor is not good enough anymore. Because there's so many people doing so many different creative things for themselves. And in this world where you've got the internet now, anyone can make a little movie at home and put it on the internet. Steven Soderbergh made a film on the iPhone. If he can do it, I'm sure everyone can have a go at it.
Yeah.
Not saying if he could do it, anyone can, but he's shown people that you can do it. You can, absolutely. And that's what my idea behind making the music videos was, getting that little sort of creative outlet going as well. And in the days of the internet, you can just make stuff and you can put it out. And hopefully one day someone will glob onto, like myself, that one song that I put out that hit. People will glob onto it and make a fuss about it. And it feels nice and it's great. But you can just do it. You can just whatever you've got in your mind, you can just do it yourself. And that's brilliant, but also very tough in terms of getting any renown or making it, as I say in inverted commas, because everyone can do it. So you've really got to come up with something good now, I think, to rise to the top.
Yeah, to kind of stand out a little.
It's interesting. So I can be a musician, but then I can also make these music videos and acting them. So that was my idea between sort of putting something bit of a different spin on the music output that normally people do. And like you say, writing, if you're an actor, write your own thing, try and put it on in the theatre, because you can wait to be cast for the rest of your life. But you've got Matt Damon and Ben Affleck always with the inspiration, really, aren't they? Like, just try and make something happen for yourself, because acting's a lottery ticket. It really is. I mean, you can be the best actor in the world, but if you're not in the right place at the right time, you're just going to be doing very low-paid work and unrecognised work forever. And being 40 years old now, I have definitely realised that I don't want to spend my whole life holding onto that lottery ticket. I've got a friend actually, Sadie, and she's got a hell of a CV. 60 years old. Do you remember? Are you a Blackadder fan?
Yeah, I like Blackadder.
So, there's a scene in the second Blackadder, the Elizabethan one, where he goes up to the young crone and he asks her where the wise woman is, and she's like, "The wise woman,
the wise woman." Yeah.
So that's my friend Sadie. So she's been in stuff for years. Coronation Street, she was Ken Barlow's love interest for a bit. So she's been very busy working. She was due to do the new Stoppard play before lockdown came in. So she is a good actress with a lengthy career. And even she is at times like, I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from. Like, I'm a bit worried. And I saw that and I was a bit like that's, I was hoping that would end at some point in this career where you're not worried. You've got a bit of security, but only a special few get that. So I think I realised I don't know if I want to live that way forever. So I've got to start looking into other things as well. Because as a young man, I was always like, no, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm an actor. I do my music on the side, but I'm an actor and I'm going to make it.
Yes.
If I don't, then I don't deserve to be old if I haven't made my money by then or whatever. You know? Like, I was really kind of no doubt in my mind that the world was going to be at my feet. And having halfway through that journey, I'd guess now, maybe not halfway, but halfway through that journey now, I suddenly think, I don't want to be scrabbling around like that forever. I want to get a few strings to my bow and a few other skills and broaden the horizons, because I can't just wait for that agent to phone. I can't just wait for that person to spot my audition tape or something. It's too tough. I'm sorry to be like depressing.
No, it's good. I mean,
like, it's the journey I'm on as a creative.
Yeah. It's like, one, you've kind of looked at that confidently and gone, what do I need to do to get to where I need to be? And in doing so, analysed it, realised that actually that kind of image you had of the industry before you got into the industry is not necessarily what the actual picture is on the other side. But equally, you're addressing that there needs to be like action taken to get you there. Do you know what I mean? So at least you're kind of coming from a position of confidence to drive you forward to a goal.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't think it's like doom and gloom. I think it's like, you know, it's that being realistic, but within creative confines, right? So it's like, it's not saying, oh, the industry's whack. You're still saying, I do want to be creative. So I'm going to be creative. What have I, you know, what else have I got about me? You know, how do I stand out from the rest of the pack? It's awesome. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but what has been your personal journey to building confidence in your skills as a creative?
Well, as I say, I think doing the band work, doing the theatre work, doing a lot of low-level stuff, that just being on the circuit, you know, like a stand-up would go out and just play shows in the clubs. That's what I've done as a musician and as an actor. Like, I've done a lot of fringe theatre, and as you well know, I've done a lot of working at places like Madame Tussauds as an actor, or Alton Towers, or like, I would take any acting job I could get because I wanted to get paid for being an actor. Didn't matter what it was, as long as I got to get up and act and play every day, I didn't care.
Awesome.
So I've been a comedy caveman. I've been a ghost in a Warwick Castle. I've done all these like really sort of entertaining jobs, maybe rather than acting, but definitely had a lot of fun, met a lot of people, made a lot of good friends, got a lot of skills and a lot of confidence along the way. And I think feedback, a lot of people don't read their reviews. A lot of people don't read their feedback, but I do like to. And I will dwell on the ones that are negative and ignore the ones that are positive. But the positive ones do matter as well. Especially with the song I've just done. It got so many positive words. It just gave me so much encouragement to get back in the kitchen and make a whole album, because obviously people are kind of digging that and I've done all right. So that's given me the boost to carry on. And I think throughout the performing career, whether it be acting or music, it's always been that positive feedback after a show that has spurred me on, because that's the drug we look for, really, isn't it? Because that's the high. The nerves are awful. The especially when you're doing a play, the worry that you're going to forget lines or something's going to go wrong. You're relying on other people. I did an Ibsen play a little while ago, and on opening night, one of the girls had not learned her lines at all. And I was terrified because I thought, if she just drops in the middle of a scene and doesn't give me a feed, and I can't think what her lines are for her to pick it up, then I'm going to just be lost on that stuff. It was terrifying. But then after the show, you get through it. I know. And you get through these things, and then that feeling of relief, that feeling of achievement, that feeling of the positive feedback, that is all what gives you the confidence to move on to the next one, really. So it's been a step-by-step, case-by-case process. Every theatre job I've done, every theme park job I've done, every gig I've played, every little music video I've put on the internet recently, they've all given me enough comments, enough people just clicking like, enough people just sort of saying, hey, that's really cool. Or my favourite is when I surprise people. Like, because how many mates of yours would say, like, oh, yeah, I make music or write songs, and you're a bit like, oh, God, yeah, all right. I'm sure it's very good. Because you hear it, especially when you're in the industry, you hear it all the time. Like, come and see my play. I wrote it myself. It's about me growing up. And okay, all right. I'm going to sit through 4 hours of monologue about the hard streets of Dagenham. Here we go. But when you go to these things and you're actually like, my God, actually, like they've really actually put effort in, and that's actually really good. That's the bit of feedback I love. When you've surprised someone, they've gone, oh my God, like I've known you years. I had no idea you had this in you. Yeah. That is just brilliant, because then, stay tuned. Yeah. I'll show you what else I've got, kind of thing, you know? I love that.
It's good that you look at it that way, rather than like, what do you mean? What do you mean you didn't think I had it in me?
Oh, no, I love it. I love people to underestimate me. And there's nothing better, I think, because then you can turn around and they'll be like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if they expect you to be brilliant, then you've got the pressure. I like to come in as the underdog and rise to the challenge, rather than feel the pressure of having to maintain.
Oh yeah, like you're not kind of worthy to be there or something. Yeah.
And I felt that after Mystery Team did so big, and everyone's going, "When's the next song? When's the next song?" Making that next song was a real kind of, oh my God.
Yeah, right.
I can't just like keep nailing it. Like, it might be all right, but it might not be as much as you love that one. So I felt the pressure, the difficult second song. And a lot of people feel that when they make albums or TV shows, second seasons.
But I think that's kind of the reason behind a lot of these successful bands and such, where they might not produce an album for like 4 or 5 years, and you're like, what do you mean? You're in such a gifted position where you could hand a piece of fecal matter rolled in glitter, and people will go, well, how much? How much is he? And meanwhile, you think, how can you sit there for 5 years, bro, and not produce anything? But I guess they got their reasons. It's that kind of, it's that pressure, like you say, but magnified, I guess.
And if you think the first album anyone ever does is 10, 15 years of playing gigs and writing songs, and you've then got 10, 12 songs that are like proven over years and years and years. People like these ones, so you've really honed that one bit of creativity there, that album or that TV show, whatever it is. You've spent a lot of time on it, and then when you've hit it, immediately people want the next one, and that's when you've got to go, right, so I've got a year to sort of get all that experience into the next one and make it as good. And it rarely is. I find with TV shows, albums, whatever it is, sequels to movies, it normally takes a dip for the second and then comes back up. They find their way again for the third.
Right. So on that note then, did you find what kind of stresses did you go through when you were coming up with the sweet spot? How did you get
exactly
to the point?
These stresses?
Yeah, like, did you go outside and do something different? Did you try and like a sportsman kind of put yourself in, I'm gonna take 3 steps OCD style, 3 steps to the left and to the right, because that's what I did when I wrote that lyric. Like, what did you do?
It was a It was a bit like that. It was a bit. I went back and looked at because I really liked, because I'm not great at the mixing part and the production part. So I went back and I looked at what reverb I had on that vocal, what distortion I had on that, what level of how loud was that in the mix, because it came together, and I don't know how a little bit. It just kind of came together, and it'd be like, oh, did I do that, or is it just pure luck? And so I did go back a bit and think, well, okay, I like the volume levels and all the put together of that one. So when I made the sweet spot, I sort of tried to use that as a template, but then worried that I was just trying to repeat the same thing again. So then I tried to play around with it a bit and try something new. And I think definitely I've just finished another song called Bed Hopping for the album, and definitely every song I've done since February has got better in its production and its sound and its finish. So the album's going to be quite uneven. I think it's going to be like stuff from February is kind of raw, and the stuff like at the end of the year before the album drops is kind of like a bit smoother and a bit more a fuller sound, a bit more not professional, but you know. So it's been that's been an interesting process, trying to repeat the success. Not trying to repeat the success of Mystery Team, because I knew that was a thing. I knew I wouldn't be able to put another one out and it would immediately get tens of thousands of views. I wanted it to get over 1,000, because this time last year, if I'd put a song online, it'd have got 500 views, probably, something like that. And that's a lot for me. I haven't got a big online presence. I haven't got a big network, really. I've got my friends I've met over the years, and that's my Facebook, really. So putting something on there would be just friends I've known going like, oh, that's cool, mate. Or, or I try and do a lot of silly sketches quite often. I don't know if you've ever seen me, but when I'm walking the dog, I do like these little characters to camera and like little sketches, and I've put them online throughout lockdown as well, just to try to amuse people and have a laugh, and like we're all in a terrible bloody situation, so let's have some fun with it, creating content as we go, and it's always just 300 500 people look at it, so that once I got that massive view, if I can now, every video can get 1,000 views or 2,000. I think sweet spot's on 3.5. Well, that's great. Like, it's not the runaway success of the song previous, but it's way better than anything I could have done before. So what Mystery Team has done, it's got me an audience now. Like, it's really grown my audience by a few thousand people, and I can hopefully use that to keep them engaged. When I put my album out, I'm going to try a Radiohead thing, because I've got no work now. My tour guiding, which I do for a day job, is cut off till April. They're not going to be coming back till April. Okay. I know.
Okay, that's good thing though. It kind of puts you in the long haul, in the mindset of, okay, I got to get something else now.
Exactly. I'm not hanging on. Yeah, because I did it again from August until this lockdown 2. So I've had a few weeks of going back to work, and then it's locked down again, and they've said we're just not going to bother till April, till the summer season starts again, and hopefully there will be one next year.
Yes.
So that's my wages out the window. They're doing the self-employed grants. So my plan is to do like a Radiohead and release the album probably next week, and then
awesome.
Put my PayPal me link and say, I'm not making any money from Spotify or Apple or anything. So if anyone wants to just pay what you like for the album, like if you want to support me, if you want to like keep me doing this, and I'll take all the money. I'll go into a studio and make a better album when all this is done. But you can donate what you like, 2p, 20 quid, whatever you want. PayPal me that. Go and get the album. I'll put it out everywhere you like. If you want it emailed to you, I'll email it to you. It's on YouTube on a long video. It's going to be on Spotify, Apple, blah, blah, blah. But you don't make any money from any of those places. So I hopefully can make some Christmas money. Now I've got an audience by doing that. That's my plan. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's finishing the album, getting it online, and asking people to sort of donate to support me, I suppose. It's a bit cheeky. I'm very English. So I don't like putting my cap in hand at all.
No, I think that's
And I remember
absolutely
I had a
fine.
conversation with you before. Once upon a time, I had a conversation about you and your experiences in LA. And you saying that we're so terribly British, because in LA you just go in and you shake someone's hand, you put yourself in front of them. None of this, oh, I'm sorry to bother you, Britishness. And that's always stuck in my head, that conversation I had with you. And I try and be more like that. My Britishness takes over too much, but I'm going to put my cap in my hand and say, look, I'm out of work. There's no acting. There's no live gigs to make money. There's no tour guiding. That's all I do. They're the 3 things I do gone. give me a donation, help me out, sort me out, and here's some music that you might enjoy.
Yeah, look, I think they will as well. I think the folks out there, it's some great music that you're putting together, Shay. So, obviously, like a little mid pitch here, guys. You do have to go check this out. And if you could pause the podcast right now, go listen to some tracks over at. How do they find these tracks, Shay? How do they find them?
So you can find me on YouTube, which is YouTube /Shay Watson, CHEWATSON. If you could follow me on Twitter, which is @TheShay Watson, Instagram @TheShay Watson, and Facebook.com/Shay Watson Presents. Once again, CHEWATSON Presents. Any of those places, go and you'll find the links to the songs, you'll find the news, soundcloud.com as well. I'm on there. So just find me on Twitter or find me on Facebook and you'll find it all from there.
Nice. We'll put all of the stuff in the podcast as well. So if you're on your phone and that, you'll just press the hyperlink. But it is great stuff. I've really enjoyed listening to the tracks, both from Princip and your solo stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, is it?
And I'm looking forward to after lockdown.
Getting some gigs.
I'm looking forward to after
gigs
lockdown.
Going. Yeah,
and I'll get an actual band together as well, and I'll front a new band, and it'll be all the songs I've done over lockdown. So I've got a lot of places saying, "Oh, come to Scotland or Glasgow wants a gig from you," and so I'll probably try and do a bit of a tour.
Awesome.
We'll see how it goes.
Awesome, exclusive. This is an exclusive tour. Shay Watson tour. Bang! Love it. Love me some exclusives. Fantastic. So I couldn't find anything when I was like looking around to see that Princip was no more, but you kind of implied there that there's no more Princip. What's going on there?
Well, we've only done a couple of gigs in the last couple of years, really. Sort of every now and then.
Slow down kind of thing.
We'll get to I mean, the boys have all gone on. A couple of them got kids now, just growing up and doing their own thing. Like our bassist Ans, he's a real entrepreneur, and he's got a restaurant in Cheltenham, and he's got a kid, and he's sort of just living his life, And I'm sure if we said like we want to do a gig, everyone would come down for a couple of rehearsals and we'd do a gig. We've done a lot of the Dublin Castle in Camden, just sort of once or twice a year, just to sort of get out and play and have a bit of fun and reconnect. So I'll never say never. If those boys give me a shout or if we get bored, I'll certainly go and do a gig with them. But I think I want to do a bit more
solo stuff. Yes.
Yeah, because I can do more then. I might ask the drummer Gary to come over and drum for me from the last band, and then we'll find another couple of musicians to play in the parts, and maybe just do it under the name Shay, and they'll be my back. They'll be my spiders from Mars.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, dude. I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's you've got yourself a gig though in the restaurant right there. That's a venue. Bang. Supported by Princip. Brilliant. And then, Shay supported by Princip. They could be the support act, and it's a double header. So it's a Shay Watson double header. Yeah. I love that. So it's
just the same band twice.
Yeah.
That's just the same band twice.
Yeah. Well, you just
I'll change costumes.
Yeah. Halfway through, you just say, "Okay, you lads, can you just put on your spaceman outfits and come back on?" Love it. So I listened to your tracks, and Mystery Team kind of reminded me of like a Oasis and a Vinesy type, the Vines Australian band. Merry Go Round sort of was kind of madnessy, kind of ska-esque, and then like Mona Lisa was kind of like Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then I feel like the latest one, The Sweet Spot, is kind of, it's your own kind of, I don't know, I can't liken that to anything really.
That's very interesting.
What kind of bands influence you? Do you hear those influences when you finish a track? Are you going for it? When you do Mona Lisa, for example, were you like, I want to sing this like Anthony Kiedis? Were you actually, aiming to kind of achieve that, or did these things kind of happen?
I think in terms of trying to sound like Anthony Kiedis, that is a thing I have done a lot in the past. It's not something I'm trying to completely imitate, but certainly it's in the back of my head. Mm-hmm. There's been certain, throughout my musical writing career, it's always been I quite like that Kings of Leon song. I'd like to do one that sounds a bit like that kind of vibe or that kind of rhythm. Same with Queens of the Stone Age, same with Red Hot Chili Peppers, same with Foo Fighters. I think they're the main sort of influences when I come to trying to sort of fit a vibe. Not necessarily trying to copy what they do.
Just borrow.
But exactly, yeah. I mean, David Bowie is my hero, and he borrowed from everywhere. And he was a trendsetter by doing it somehow, but he was only copying a lot of what other people were doing and putting it together. I think in one of the books, there's a great phrase that says like, talent borrows, genius steals, or something like that. Don't be ashamed to say that you've taken that from there and that from there and fused it together to make your own thing. Quite often I get to the ends, as you say, and look at it and gone, it sounds a bit like that. And a few people said Mystery Team sounded like No One Knows by Queens of the Stone Age. And I have been listening to a lot of Queens of the Stone Age over the past year, like a lot. I've been obsessed with them. So that has obviously heavily influenced the probably loudness of the guitars and a bit the swagger in the drums, maybe. But it's not really a conscious thing. When I was with Princip, I was doing a lot of stuff that I wanted to sound a bit Chili Peppers because I do enjoy his half rap, half sing. When I'm doing songwriting with the words, I like the words to fit the beat of the drum. It's definitely a thing I like to.
I guess that kind of mirrors back to what you were saying earlier about being drawn into it through spoken word.
Yeah, exactly. It's
spoken word. Yeah, the poetry element can be like that, can't it? You know.
Absolutely, and that's what I enjoy most about Chili Peppers. Like, Can't Stop. That the words in that song are the best thing about it, because you got a great beat, you've got a great little guitar riff and a bass riff, but it's the words that are instantly everyone's sort of gets in your head and singing it. I love a hook. I love an earworm, and if I can write an earworm, like, I'm the happiest man in the world. That's stuck in your head so much. And I find a beat, a repetition. I do keep things quite simple in my songwriting. Like, I'm not really I'm not Tom Yorking it up. I'm not like, I like to write hooky, catchy, commercial, radio-friendly sort of stuff with a bit of a heavier tinge to it and a bit more sort of a bit of a rock vibe to it. So that's why I love Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl, Chili Peppers, because they all come from a heavier world and influences, but they're very much now settled into a radio-friendly commercial sound, really. And that definitely does influence me. But I quite often, as you say, I get to the end and I look back and I think, okay, that does sound like that. That same way I said about having the idea and then getting to the end and seeing how the end result compared to the original idea. It's also comparing how the original idea for influence actually looks by the end. Like, can you look back and go, that does sound like the kind of Kings of Leon vibe I was going for, or something like that. Or if it's just completely changed throughout the recording process, it might have started off trying to be Blur and I've ended up sounding like Oasis or something, you know. But
does that ever happen?
I like the
stuff like that. Does that ever happen to you?
I don't hold on to it that much to notice, if I'm honest. So I might approach something thinking I want the lyrics to be a bit Chili Peppers, but I will forget that quite quickly as I get into the writing and I get into the song, because I don't want to actually sound like anyone else. I mean, people have said I've sounded like Robbie Williams, Duran Duran, Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters. Like, there's a quite a broad range of acts there that people say I sound like, and that makes me happy, because if everyone just said, "Oh, you sound like Queens of the Stone Age," or "Oh, you sound like Oasis," if that was all I ever got, then I'd be worried. Just sounding like that. I mean, there's some acts that still sound like the Beatles. Like, I'll hear something and they've got the certain vocal harmony on their track and it just sounds like the Beatles, and so that, I don't think that's necessarily a great thing. It's okay to have the odd one song maybe, but if you just sound like the Beatles, well, that's been done. So it was really nice to hear from you just then that Sweet Spot sounded like my own thing, and that's great because I've just done Bed Hopping, which is again a similar sound to Sweet Spot. So I'm obviously finding a way through all these years. Yeah, and that's very interesting to me, because I've never known what my sound was, because I'm all about the writing originally on acoustic and just the words and the poetry. That's all I really think about, and I've never really gone into the production or the bigger. I've not really played electric guitar before this year, I haven't played the drums since I was 20 odd. So this was all just working it out as I go. Like, it's and I'm impressed with what I've got. I must say, because like I said, I had a drum kit when I was 23, and I bought this electronic drum kit about a month before lockdown.
Whoa.
Just because I was like, let's buy one. Let's get hold one and let's see if we can remember how to play. And I've just like had a little practice on it. And like I say, electric guitar, I always play acoustic. I never play electric. So this year I've got an electric guitar and I was like, well, let's try and record some songs in lockdown. Let's try and use all this stuff I've got. And it's been a journey. Like I feel like I've been at it years now. Like it's only since February, but it's really been honing my skills and my craft. It's like I've gone on a little sort of Buddhist retreat. Like like some kind of pilgrimage to the Shaolin Temple, but in my kitchen.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, you found your happy place, I guess.
Yeah, so hearing that I'm finding my sound out of all that is really interesting and really encouraging, and hopefully I'll keep doing that, and I'll have a signature sound and I'll have a signature look, and that's all good for branding and getting out there for commercial success. So that's fantastic. I'm happy to hear that.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I was wondering, like, you've spoken about kind of the feedback there of kind of receiving feedback and processing feedback. How do you have the confidence in yourself to kind of not listen to, say, negative influences? Like, how do you remain an individual as an artist, and not be, say I've said, oh, hey, Shay, I really like it when you do this. You should do more of that. Or I don't like it when you do this. You should do more of that. How do you have that confidence in your own self to be like, listen, yeah, I appreciate that, Jason, but I'm going my own way? How do you process those kind of moments?
I think I'd struggle with those kind of moments because, like I say, I do tend to dwell on the negative feedback, and that's being an insecure actor, I think. And having just that one thing that somebody strips all the confidence away and becomes a little thing in your head, in the back of your head when you're doing something. Like someone might say something off the cuff like that, and it's not even that negative, but they might say, like, I don't really like that. I prefer it when you do that. I'll probably end up never doing that thing ever again because one person said they didn't like it, and that's a ridiculous way to be. That is not the way to be at all. And that is something I've very much got to work on. And not reading my own press is one of them. And maybe not. I had a friend who was just helping me out with social media, and he was trying to get me to stay off it. And he'd just deal with it because I was getting a bit too influenced by a comment on, like, so I post something and people would say, oh, no, I don't like that. Maybe do that. And then I'd be like, oh, no, they hate it. Everyone hates me. So I can get a bit silly and insecure like that. So I try not to take it too seriously. But also, I haven't had a lot of negative feedback. All the negative feedback is normally in my own head. I heard someone say, a stand-up comedian friend of mine the other day was saying, he was asked a similar question, actually, in a situation like, how do you deal with negative feedback or hecklers or things like that? And he says, no one hates me as much as I hate myself, so I don't care. It's like, you can come at me with whatever. Don't worry, I've already thought it. Like, however shit you could say I am, I think I'm worse. Yeah. I have said everything that you could possibly come up with, so what you say doesn't bother me. And I kind of think that's a great attitude to have.
Yes.
It is. It's strong. I am my biggest critic, so I don't think anything anyone else says would not be something I haven't thought of myself already. Obviously, someone could hit that nerve. If you've got something you really like, if I think my singing's terrible, and then someone says, oh, I don't think your singing's very good, then that would be very, oh my God, it would be like a shock with the heart. Because, oh no, it's okay for me to think it. Don't agree with me. You're supposed to say, no, you're fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Just prop me up.
And I do have a lot of insecurities in my music because I don't think I'm the best singer. I don't think I'm the best musician. I don't think I'm the best producer, but I do really believe in my songwriting and the acts that I like I'm a big fan of Bright Eyes. I don't know if you know him, Conor Roberts. He's got a really interesting voice. I think of like Leonard Cohen, think of Bob Dylan. Like, they're not good singers, but they've got something interesting in the character of their voice and in their writing that doesn't matter if they're a good singer or not. So that's kind of where I come from. Like, if you're worried about, I'm not that good at that bit, or I'm not that, it doesn't matter, because you are good at one. Like, my songs I enjoy writing, I think they're good, and I think people would like them if they heard them. And so that's what gives me the confidence to carry on doing the singing and doing the guitaring, which again, I don't think I'm very good at either, but I think I can just about get away with it. And the strength of the writing that I believe in will carry it all through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I deal with the self-doubt, let alone the negative comments. Like any negative comments would just be hitting upon my own self-doubt. So that's how I deal with it, really.
It kind of, I like that. It kind of reminds me of a girl I used to see where she said, "Oh, Jason, I'm not attractive. I just, you know, if you actually look at my individual features, there's not really a whole lot going on. I don't really have stuff going on. But when you put it all together, it just works, Jace. It just works." I was like, okay. I mean, I find you attractive, but okay.
She spent a lot of time thinking about that.
Yeah, clearly. I was like, what the hell?
But bless her. As long as she's happy, as long as she's got herself to a place where she can move forward happily, that I'm not going to question it. You know, like it makes sense. If it makes sense for you and you can carry on with some confidence, great.
Yeah, exactly right.
So that's the human experience, isn't it? It's coming to terms with our own shit and getting through it.
Yeah, just getting through it. Exactly, having that resilience.
Let me know what you guys have got out of these so far. You know, if you reach out to me, I will respond, obviously. And we're going to be breaking it up. We won't just be doing interviews. We'll be doing some sort of solo episodes as well. Here's all of Shay's handles again. I'm having a lot of fun doing these. Hope you guys are having a lot of fun listening to them. And if you haven't already done it, hit that subscribe button. Thanks very much. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.